Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. I am live with Patrick J. Today, we got a few things to get into. We're going to be doing the NFC Powers That Are segment today. And today we're going to be talking about the NFC North. It is going to be the Green Bay Packers, obviously the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions. And just because it is the NFC North, there's quite a bit to talk about. I mean, it seems like the Chicago Bears are the head runners or the top runners in the Russell Wilson sweepstakes. And there is some updated news on that, so we'll definitely dive deeper into that. There's definitely some news surrounding the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Jones went ahead and re-signed, so that's good news for them. And then big news, Patty and I are definitely going to jump into this, which is Mr. Drew Brees did go ahead and hang up the cleats, so we'll go ahead and address that. And we're going to also be doing a separate thing where we'll probably have a special day just for honoring the stellar 20-year career that was the career of Mr. Drew Brees himself. So we'll have a special day just dedicated to Drew Brees. But with that said, let's just go ahead and start this thing off. Patrick, let's go ahead and talk about Drew Brees retiring. Just first and foremost, before we go ahead and make the transition into talking about the NFC North, go ahead and give me your thoughts. What do you think? What do you think it is for this news?
You know, it's one of those things, man. Like you knew it was coming, but when the news comes down, it's sad to hear. He's obviously one of those guys that you and I have been both watching since we were kids. 20 years in the league, and the things that he did coming into this league as an undersized, and he was always overlooked, and just the career that he's had, the 13-time Pro Bowler, he's been an Offensive Player of the Year a couple times, and obviously that essential 2009 season when he took not only the Saints to the Super Bowl victory, but that he pretty much carried that city during that, amidst all the tragedy that New Orleans had to gone through. He's practically a hero over in New Orleans, and well-deserved. And yeah, what a career he's had, man. I can't believe it's already been 20 years, and it's really sad to see him go, but what a career he's had. And then, we all know that his next stop's going to be Hall of Fame. So
yeah, no, of course. Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's the special thing about Drew Brees, is that he was borderline. He was borderline one of those quarterbacks that, up there with the Bradys and the Mannings of the world, that you just couldn't stop. Especially from 2010 to at least like 2015, I want to say. It's like he was so great at getting the ball out of his hands, and the Sean Payton offense was so dynamic, and the passing concepts were so dynamic, and Drew Brees was so great at maneuvering and manipulating defenses. It was reminiscent of Brady and Peyton, and I'll tell you this: it gave me fits going up against Brees, and any time that the Eagles ever played the Saints, it gave me nightmares the night before for my team, especially when it came to playoff games, especially when it came to games that were indicative of the Eagles needing to win said game to get into the playoffs. It's like, oh shit. But and that goes to show, just like you said, Patty, like he was an undersized guy, standing at 6 foot, standing at 6 foot, about 220, kind of somewhere around the Mike Vick prototype as far as height and weight is concerned. It was unheard of at that time, and then he kind of started to set the trend for what it meant. He sort of started to set the trend for consistency of the 5,000 passing yards sort of deal. Like he was kind of the one to start doing that in the new millennium. I so to say, I guess, because before Brady went ahead and got Randy Moss, it was Brees having all the yardage and all the touchdowns and things like that.
Yeah, it's he I mean he like you say, he's a model of consistency, like you said, and he's going to retire as an all-time leading passer. It's unlikely, like when Drew Brees first came into the league, no pundit's ever going to say that this guy was going to be the all-time leading passer by the time 2021 rolled around and he was about to retire. When Chargers drafted Phillip Rivers, we all thought Brees was done. We thought he'd be a serviceable game manager somewhere else, but we never expected him to turn this on and then just go on to throw for 80,000 career passing yards and stuff like that. He said, I totally agree with everything you said. He beat a lot of odds coming out of the draft, like you said, as an undersized guy. Again, being replaced by Rivers and then just going to New Orleans and then really turning that franchise around and being that model of consistency, and that he really revitalized his career and also the Saints too. And then, I can't ever take away, I mentioned it earlier too, the amount of impact that he's had in that city, starting with 2009 with Hurricane Katrina and everything like that, all the way down to this past season in a heartbreaking loss to the Bucs too. But what a career he's had.
Absolutely. And let's go ahead and do this. Big play slay. Dak is king. Welcome, guys. Happy Sunday. So glad to have you guys back in here. Big play slay goes ahead and says, honestly, it is sad to hear, but you also have to think about the demise of the guy. He wasn't the same in terms of his arm talent. Yeah, that's the thing is that is going to happen, and that did start to happen with him. But it's all the same. It didn't take anything away from him. He still showed glimpses of his greatness. That is for sure. But let's just go ahead and transition into the NFC North, Patty. Aaron Jones resigns with the Green Bay Packers. Let's start off with the Green Bay Packers. I think one of their biggest needs, man, going into this offseason is possibly getting some more playmakers for Aaron Rodgers. But honestly, that's not even the biggest one. You want to know what the biggest one is? It might be a bit of a shock.
Let's hear it. What is it?
Matt LaFleur needs to trust Aaron Rodgers. Matt LaFleur needs to trust Aaron Rodgers. I'll say this. The outcome could have changed if Matt LaFleur trusted Aaron Rodgers in that playoff game. I think Aaron Rodgers was right to be upset about the decision towards the end of that playoff game. I don't necessarily believe that Aaron Rodgers needs any more playmakers. I'm sure he would like to have some. Look, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has a ton of years left. Aaron Rodgers is still going to continue to be the gunslinger, big bad wolf, big bad man, as Stephen A. Smith likes to put it. That he's always been. But Aaron Jones coming back to the Green Bay Packers, Patrick, certainly helps that team. Please tell me why.
Yeah, he's been a force. Like Packers there were a lot of talks about him not coming back, and that's obviously a concern. But I'm sure they're all happy to have him back. Aaron Jones himself put it on Twitter that how he was excited to come back too, and he should be. 5th round pick coming out of UTEP. He rushed for 1,100 yards. He made his first Pro Bowl. He does a lot for that team. He really creates that second dimension to the Packers offense, which is generally run through Aaron Rodgers. But having Jones in the backfield and being a threat that he is, it really opens up the option for Aaron Rodgers and his receivers too. He's only 26. He's only one of 2 players in NFL history to post 3,000 plus rushing yards and 35 rushing touchdowns in a span of the first 4 seasons. The other guy is Jim Brown, so he's on a good career path too. 4 years and $48 million. It's a right amount of dollar figure. The 4 years for a running back is a concern, but to lock up a guy like this, it was necessary for them to do so.
Absolutely, and I agree. And just to put the cherry on top of the importance of re-signing Aaron Jones, guys, for so long, that Green Bay Packers offense and Aaron Rodgers did not have a running back. Eddie Lacy did not pan out the way that they had hoped. And just beyond Eddie Lacy, there was just really nothing. So for the longest time, a play action concept to that offense was just kind of nil and void. And now they got a guy. Actually, they have two guys. They have two serviceable guys. Obviously, Aaron Jones is one of those guys, but Jamal Williams is the other guy. So they're lucky to bring him back, and I absolutely think that they made the right move. Patrick, let's go ahead and talk about this defense. Where can they improve on the Packers defense? What do you see them doing with the first round pick?
The big concern with them is a quarterback. I think the GM of the Packers actually came out and said that is his main concern, is that it's an important position to address too. That's where they really struggled. Their offseason is going to be dependent on their question marks in the cornerback depth chart. They got Jair Alexander coming back. They will, and I think they already exercised his fifth-year option, who's a all-pro Pro Bowler guy, so it's super important. Kevin King, their other starter, is a free agent, and Shannon Sullivan, who was their slot cornerback, is also a restricted free agent. So those are key important guys that they need back in the cornerback slot. They do have a really good one in Alexander, but they do need to fill out the depth chart. Their concern, though, is similar to a lot of teams, is their cap space. They, especially with Jones coming back, we'll have to see how it's structured. They were already like $2 million in deficit, so having this in, I would, no matter how it's structured, I would assume they're going to put it into more red. The interesting thing about Packers, as always, is just like you said, I do believe that they should have some playmakers around Aaron Rodgers a little bit more, which what is all of us what we anticipated them from draft last year when they drafted Jordan Love. Is they have a really clear, easy path to creating more cap space, and that is extending and restructuring Aaron Rodgers, and they haven't done so, which is a really interesting thing for me, because I mean his contract is set to expire, I believe, in 2023, and if you truly believe in Aaron Rodgers, then you can easily extend them at least a year or two and then create a lot of open cap space, but they haven't done that. So I'm like, are they really considering a Jordan Love era coming up? Are they really considering moving on from Aaron Rodgers? And I think that's been a question for us since last season,
I think so. I think what they're going to do, just because they've seen the success of the Aaron Rodgers to replace Brett Favre transition. I think that's what they're going to try and do. Now, granted, I don't think that they foresaw Aaron Rodgers bouncing back the way that he did this past season. But I think that's kind of the philosophy that they had in mind. Another guy that I want to talk about too, and I wanted to just throw in a side note there. Side note: Shannon Sullivan was a former Philadelphia Eagle. We know how well he did when he just came in to replace some injured Eagles cornerbacks back in 2018. So we're very well aware of how well Shannon Sullivan can play. But another guy is linebacker Christian Kirksey, who they just lost. I believe he was a Packer, if I'm not mistaken on that. So they just went ahead and lost him. He was signed to let me see here. I think
Texans just signed him. So
Texans just signed him. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a good move for the Texans, but I believe it's a big loss for the Packers, because he was there. So they might need to address linebacker as well. And Dacus King says Packers are always a threat. Yeah, man, we're aware of that. We're just trying to get some of the stuff out of the way. But let's just go ahead and move away from the Packers. Let's go ahead and move on to the Chicago Bears now, because there's obviously a lot of questions surrounding the Chicago Bears. Are they going to trade for Russell Wilson? What are they going to exactly do if they miss out on the Russell Wilson sweepstakes? The other thing too is Russell Wilson going to actually get traded? Because most recently, the report that I read was off of Bleacher Report that the Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll are starting to investigate an offensive line options just for Russell Wilson. Just read that within the last 24 hours. So that tells me that they are worried about losing him, and they don't want to lose him. But here's the thing: if Russ does get traded and the Bears lose out, where do the Bears go for quarterback options? Are they able to draft one? What do the Bears got to do? Is the big thing. They did tag Allen Robinson. So Allen Robinson is going back to Chicago until they go ahead and extend him. So they have him for at least another year. And then the defense seems nice and set up for success. I mean, they have safety Eddie Jackson. You know, they got Roquan Smith. They just re-signed Khalil Mack, and they just freed up a bunch of cap space because they reworked Khalil Mack. So they made quite a bit of moves to free up some cap space, Patrick. But what do you see as the Bears' biggest need moving forward outside of the quarterback position? Or you can go ahead and address that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with the quarterback. I mean, that is their most glaring question mark. I think they're actually very focused on Russell Wilson. I did read the same report. There was also a report from Ian Rappaport about 2 hours ago saying that no deals are imminent, but Chicago is, as you can imagine,
gearing to trade.
Yeah. And Chicago Bears is the most likely option. So I think this is one of those offseason that the Bears are completely going to go all in on Russell Wilson, and then kind of build their offseason around it, because that's going to dictate where they go as far as their next moves are concerned. Getting Russell Wilson is going to be a coup for them. It isn't close from all the indications that we've said, but we've known these things that's happened before when a disgruntled player comes out and then specifically names a couple teams, and it seems like the Bears are the most logical option at this point. Generally it happens. So, I mean, I keep an eye on it. I'm sure they have a secondary options out there. I think they're looking at Marcus Mariota. That's the other name that was possible out there, with the Las Vegas Raiders looking to trade him, of cash in on his resurgence last season. I don't think they're going to go with Nick Foles. That's one thing. That's one thing that I'm pretty confident in.
Eagles are going to trade for Nick Foles, right, Patrick?
Right.
We got so much dysfunction in our organization.
Right. Exactly. And the other guy with the Eagles side that I think is an interesting fit for the Bears would be Zach Ertz too. I think he'd be a great trade option going to the Bears. The Bears actually promoted John DeFilippo to their passing game coordinator, which I know he had a good ties with Zach Ertz, so that's a good fit for them. Jimmy Graham, I think they're going to move on from him for someone else, and I think Zach Ertz is a perfect fit. Bears, like anyone else, need the quarterback help, and then like we talked about with every other team, this is a good free agent market to be in, just because they are a little bit deeper in that field in the cornerback. As far as what they would do in the draft, we don't know. I mean, it kind of depends on. It kind of goes back to the Russell Wilson topic. I mean, if they get Russell Wilson, then it kind of changes the whole spectrum of things. Like they have the number 20 pick, and that's only quarterback that we see that you and I have talked about that might be available at that point is Mac Jones. So I mean, do they go with Mac Jones at that point and kind of try to do this whole rookie quarterback thing again, or do they just go for a veteran quarterback?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, look, I'm on the fence. I mean, I'm on the fence about this one specific thing. Like you can go with Mac Jones in the first round, but I don't think that's your best option. As far as quarterbacks after Trey Lance, you know what I mean? Right. Like I don't know. And this is just a hunch and this is just a feeling, but I don't really feel like there is a huge difference between Kyle Trask and Mac Jones. And Kyle Trask you can have in the second round. Kyle Trask you might be able to have in the third round. What Florida did this past season was absolutely phenomenal. What Brian Johnson did with Kyle Trask and that Florida offense was absolutely phenomenal. So what do you want to do? What if the Bears decided to take Mac Jones, is that your best option? Like, do you want to take Mac Jones in the first round, or do you want to wait around and take Kyle Trask and not risk, and not risk missing out on a playmaker? Because I don't see that big of a difference between the two of them. I really don't. But hey, that's just me. But I do like your take on Zach Ertz going to the Bears, because that was a rumor. They were a team that were rumored to be interested in Zach Ertz. And they do have Jimmy Graham. They also have the other guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, who put up a little bit of decent production this past season. But I like that. To follow that up though, Patty, is if the Eagles did a player for player to the Bears, Zach Ertz, who would you say? And because I think I personally would think it would be for a defender and not an offensive playmaker. So in that case, like, what would you say?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it totally depends on obviously each team's cap space. I mean, more dependent on the Eagles, just because I know they're still trying to clear up a little bit more. It will be most likely defender. I think if the Eagles go for any type of trade option, I think they're going to target more the like defensive player, like you said, rather than like a core. I mean, like the offensive guys, because I think they're going to be able to fill that positional needs through, like free agency and draft and stuff like that. I'm not sure. I don't have like an exact guy that kind of comes to mind. I mean, like I don't know if any of them are actually out in the market, but I mean, I'm sure the Eagles can utilize one of their linebackers. I mean, I know they're not too deep in it. I know Daniel Trevathan might be an option. Robert Quinn, I know. Who knows? But if they're willing to trade them for Zach Ertz, though, they do need cornerback help. So I doubt they're going to utilize their cornerback depth, whatever they have to do that. They do have some safeties, though, because they have Tashawn Gibson and Eddie Jackson as their ones, but they do have Deion Bush, DeAndre Houston Carson, Sherrick McManus. I would have to see their contract situations, but I mean, getting some of the secondary guys and maybe late round picks could also help. I know the Eagles are looking for third or fourth from the last time I checked. I think that's what you mentioned. Yeah.
That's the recent report. And Football King, welcome to the channel, man. I haven't seen you quite a bit. Hope you're doing all right. Happy Sunday, my man. We're talking about Mac Jones to the Bears right now. But speaking about Mac Jones to the Eagles, fucking Patrick, CBS. I'm gonna jump ship just for a hot sec. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but CBS Sports, whoever their content writer is, and I think I did a stream about this. Whoever their content writer is on Facebook, needs to get I'm not trying to take shots, but they need to get a clue or something, because they had the Eagles taking Mac Jones at pick 6. They called Malcolm Jenkins a Eagles legend. I don't know if they've got some sort of delusion going on, but it just seems like they're a little bit off on a lot of the shit that they've been saying. And look, I'm not taking away from anything from Malcolm Jenkins, but he certainly wasn't an Eagles legend. But Mac Jones at pick 6 for the Philadelphia Eagles just makes absolutely no sense. He's not even going to go in the first round. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So it doesn't make any sense. It's fine.
Yeah, no, that's crazy talk. I mean, I think it was Ryan Wilson actually with the CBS, because he had I remember seeing that, because he had Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields all going before the Eagles, and then he went with Mac Jones to the Eagles at 6 and Trey Lance at 8.
It makes no sense.
That's an interesting mock if I see anything.
I was like, is this Maurice Jones-Drew making these picks? That's why I love this, because Maurice Jones-Drew has the worst picks of all time. He really does. Every single year. It's like a day after, I think it was 2 days after Jeffrey Lurie said that we're going to get playmakers for Jalen Hurts. Maurice Jones-Drew still had the Eagles taking Micah Parsons. And it's one, Jeffrey Lurie just said that two, Ty Roseman has never taken a linebacker in the first round. Like, dude. Anyway, moving on.
Never say never. Never say never.
I'm going to say never. As long as Ty Roseman is still in the building, we will never take a linebacker in the first round. There's only one time that we did that, and that was with Chip Kelly, and that was Marcus Smith, and it didn't work out. And technically, he was considered an edge rusher. But let's go ahead and move on to Lions. Now, obviously, Lions just traded for Mr. Jared Goff. And that was a big trade for them. They just acquired 2 first-round picks, including Jared Goff. But they didn't tag Kenny Golladay, so I assume that they gotta address the wide receiver position for Jared Goff. What do you see as a need for the Lions, Patrick? I'm not as familiar with what they have to do. They're not necessarily, I'll be frank and honest, they're not necessarily a team that I usually pay attention to.
Yeah.
Just they don't need to.
Yeah,
not really scared of the Lions.
Realities of Detroit Lions, man. They not a lot of people pay attention to them, but
red and shoot.
Yeah. So you hit the nail on the head right there, man. So they got Jared Goff, so it's the beginning of the new era, I guess, for the Lions team here. They are short receivers, especially with Kenny Golladay going. They're short of tackle. They don't have any running backs, and they don't have any tight end. Basically, their offense needs an overhaul with a Jared Goff coming in, so which is not an entirely bad thing. They do have cap space, and then with a new quarterback coming in, albeit even if they had a better one, I mean, statistically, let's say in Matthew Stafford, it's not a bad thing to overhaul and kind of start over either. They could use some help in safety and some pass rushers, but more than anything, I think their holes are more so in the offensive side. So how do they go about filling these holes? I don't know. They probably let the best receiver go that they could have had. Are they going for cheap? Are they trying to just not? Do they know a little bit more than we do as far as like Kenny Galladay's injury concerns are concerned? So I don't know exactly where they go with that, but they do need to fill that free agents with the wide receiver spot, and I think they're going to do that. I think the Lions are poised to spend big money on some of these guys. I don't necessarily know exactly who that they're going to target, but I think they're going to go for a couple big guys, and then kind of just start from there. If I'm specifically naming some guys, a guy to watch, I think, would be a wide receiver, Marvin Jones. I think he can sign back with the Lions. He's been an integral piece for them, so I look for him to come back. They do need a kicker too.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Here's the thing about that, though, is because of injury concerns to Kenny Golladay, could that be their angle, though? Could they see how the market plays out for a 28-year-old wide receiver who just is coming off an injury-riddled season? And let's say that it doesn't go as well as planned for Kenny Golladay, and then the Lions are able to, get him for cheaper than what he's wanting. Maybe that's their game plan. Maybe they want to sign Kenny Golladay, but just not as much as. So it could be that instead of Marvin Jones, or they could just be straight up eyeing Jalen Waddle. Because that's. That it's him or Devontae Smith. I've seen that in a ton of mock drafts. But here's the thing too. Here's another team, and I just want to link this as much to the Eagles as much as we can, just to keep you all interested. Because it seems to me it's another team in the NFC North that could possibly be a part of the Zach Ertz trade rumors, who could definitely use his services for sure.
Yeah, this team could definitely help getting Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is one of those guys. He can go to any team and really be helpful too. He can honestly stick with the Eagles, and I think he definitely provides some good bump for them. Your take is really good. I like your take. Having Kenny Golladay, that might be the reason, they might not want to pay him what he wants right now and kind of just let the market play out. All indications are that he's going to get his money, though, so we'll see. But it's a big gamble to take, so we'll kind of see where they go with it. I mean, they're losing their entire receiving core from what it looks like with Marvin Jones, Golladay, and Danny Amendola is also a free agent, I believe. So they really need to bring some weapons in. They were tight with Curtis Samuel and Will Fuller, so maybe they just want to go for an overhaul. They do need a running back too. DeAndre Swift shows some talents, but I mean they do need a running back to pair with him. So that's a big positional need. Safety, like I said. I know they had some ties with John Johnson from the Rams, who's obviously played with Matthew Stafford with the Rams too. So look for those positions. I think those are like the important pieces that they would have to fill. I don't think the Lions, especially with Matthew Stafford trade, is anything. I don't think they're looking at 2021, 2022 season as a contention season necessarily. So it'll be more of a building block for them. So I think they're just going to go for like shorter, smaller deals to kind of just fill out their team for now.
Okay. Yeah, no, and I absolutely agree. Go ahead and name your top free agent that's outside of a team re-signing that they could possibly bring in.
Yeah, I think John Johnson, safety, I think is one guy. I'll look at Trey Hendrickson with the Saints. They do need an edge rusher too, so they need someone to come in there and really be a force for them. He's had some question mark around him. Like he kind of came out of nowhere, and he might be that 1 year wonder, but he's one of those guys that they can definitely invest some money into, not too much, and they can still have that, a little bit of a potential for him to blow up too. I think one of the receivers, like I said, Samuel or Fuller, one of the second tier guys, I think is another option to look at.
Right.
And then, as far as like the running back is concerned, I think they might go draft route with Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. I mean, that's an option. But look out for some free agents, like Malcolm Brown or Kalen Ballage, Boston Scott, Eagles ties, some of those guys like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think the one thing for the Lions is I think it's going to be good for them to kind of follow suit as the rest of the other teams in the NFC North. I mean, you look at the Vikings, and we'll get to them in a second, and they started to recapture some of that success that they had with Adrian Peterson after they drafted Dalvin Cook. The Packers kind of have always been in contention when it came to Aaron Rodgers, but once they got Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, like they were able to establish some more consistency. And then Bears, when it came to Jordan Howard and when it came to Tariq Cohen, there was a little bit of balance that they were allowed to establish. And then the Lions, I think the Lions should follow suit. I mean, it's the NFC North, guys. It's cold to play in the NFC North. And so when it gets to November, when it gets to December, like you need some hard-nosed runners. You need some hard-nosed runners. And so that's exactly what I think the Detroit Lions need to do. And so I agree with you on that. Patty. Let's go ahead and move to the Minnesota Vikings. Now look, Dalvin Cook and the Vikings, they got some potential, man. I was really impressed with what they did to the Packers last season. I believe that they split the games, right? Those two?
Yep.
Yeah. And so whether it was their first meeting or their second meeting, I cannot remember. The Vikings pretty much played time of possession football and completely just controlled the ball on the ground, and was really excited about what they did to the Packers. So the Vikings have a lot of potential moving forward, and they can win some games. I think that they need to add playmakers on the perimeter. I think that they need to. I think as far as defense is concerned, they probably need to add another edge rusher. just because, they did trade for Yannick Ngakoue. Yannick Ngakoue is a free agent, or they might try and re-sign him. I think that's another route to go. Just kind of like I just talked about Kenny Galladay, they might be just testing the waters and seeing how that goes, and then see if they can go ahead and re-sign him. I'm not really sure what their cap situation is, but as far as their defensive line is concerned, it is pretty young. Danielle Hunter is younger than I thought he was. I believe he's only 28, and then the rest of that defensive line is still in their mid to late 20s. So they have a lot of potential outside of that. What do you have to say?
No, I completely agree with you, man. How lucky is Kirk Cousins, dude? Having a mediocre quarterback, getting paid that kind of money after a couple seasons, and being surrounded by Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, and Justin Jefferson, dude. He's a lucky man. I agree with you. They could use another playmaker. As you know, Gary Kubiak actually moved on and retired, and they replaced him with his son. So obviously, schematically, it's going to change no matter what. So Clint Kubia coming in, I'm sure he worked with his dad for a number of years before being their quarterbacks coach his past couple seasons. But he's going to come in there with his new fresh eyes, and then I think, Thielen and Jefferson's great, but they could use a third receiver. They've been tied a lot to Keelan Cole from Jacksonville Jaguars, who can be a perfect third wide receiver behind their two stars. And he's one of those guys who can line up at all three receiving spots, and he's got the ultimate flexibility. He's had 42 receptions and for almost at 750 yards this past season. So he's a guy to look out for. They can shore up their offensive line too. They're looking at more of a guard positions, and I think they were tied to Kevin Zeitler and also Thuney as well. And then they don't have a whole lot of cap space, just under $10 million, but I think they're able to go out and sign a couple of these guys. So look out for either a guard position and then the edge, like you said. One name that's always been tied to the Vikings recently is Carlos Dunlap. He does have ties with Mike Zimmer, so that's the Bengals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's also a good name to look out for. And then they can always add some defensive guys too. But I think they start with that position in the edge. And then like a maybe third receiver, and then they do need a safety too. And there's a couple other guys out there. Sean Williams from the Bengals also has some ties with Mike Zimmer too. So another name to look at too.
Awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely. And then just in a little bit, I want to talk more about Zach Ertz, and then we could probably wrap it up. But let's go ahead and get to some comments here. Big play Slay. The Packers screwed up when they re-signed Aaron Jones to that deal. Let's talk about it. Why?
I think it's going back to that. I don't know if this is what he's referring to. But it's always a concern to give a running back any like a long-term deal, big money like that. It's always going to cause for a concern. He does have the talent. He's a Pro Bowler, and then he's put up production. But anytime you invest that kind of money into a running back position, it's always a concern. When I saw that they declined franchise tag on Aaron Jones, I honestly thought they made a good decision, just because running backs are one of those positions that you can find anywhere unless you're looking at, Alvin Kamara's and Dalvin Cook's and, Derrick Henry's of the world, So him getting this kind of money is always a cause for concern. I thought they should have used this money to keep their all-pro center Corey Linsley because he's essential to Aaron Rodgers and their offensive line. But it's interesting that they allocated this money to Aaron Jones, but it's cause for concern when you pay this kind of money to a running back like this. I thought they could get someone else like Chris Carson or someone with a cheaper money, but I don't know if that's exactly what Big Play Slay's talking about, but if there's a concern, that's what I'd be leaning towards.
If that's the case, Slay, if that's what you're referring to, I completely agree. I completely agree with you. Here's the other thing too is, I've never been like he's a good running back. I cannot deny it, but he doesn't wow me. Like it's not like, and he didn't get paid a lot. Like it's not like Le'Veon. It's not like Zeke. but it is, but like, he doesn't wow. He doesn't blow me away. I like Miles Sanders is by far much more athletic than Aaron Jones. King Miro, welcome to the channel, man. Happy Sunday. Nah. Fucking get a QB or receiver. Okay. Moving on. Let's go ahead and talk about Zach Ertz. Look, Zach Ertz, there's more reports coming out, Patrick, about Zach Ertz, about how he's getting impatient with the Eagles because he just wants to move on already. Look, I'm starting to get tired of Zach Ertz. I love everything he's done for the Philadelphia Eagles, but he's starting to sound like a bitter bitch. I'm not trying to sound misogynistic, guys, but he's starting to sound like a bitter baby. So, we're gonna keep you until we can trade you. Stop crying about it. Like, you can't take the entire birthday cake, especially if it's not your birthday, bro. You're getting moved. Stop crying. Basically, is where I come from with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a two-way street whenever people sign this contract. I mean, like, I think
he needs to shut his mouth is what he needs to do.
Yeah, and it's I think it's crazy sometimes. I mean, I understand with some athletes, with Carson Wentz situation, it's a little bit different. Russell Wilson situation, it's a little bit different. But when some athletes they think they kind of run the show, and that's not how I always looked at Zach Ertz. But yeah, it's kind of getting frustrating at this point.
Here's the issue. I want to jump in on this real quick, and I think I've talked about it before. Is I feel like he became, and I think I talked to you about this. I feel like he became a lot more, like, his emotions became a lot more volatile when Carson got drafted, and they became best friends, and they shared an opinion, and that opinion was against whatever they were against. And now his best friend got traded because he had opposition with Hy Roseman in the front office, and now Zach Ertz is crying. Zach Ertz is crying at press conferences, and now Zach Ertz is crying more, even though we already agreed that we're gonna trade him. But now he's crying because he's impatient. It's like, dude, shut the fuck. And Football King says Ertz needs to chill the fuck out. Yeah, he needs to chill the fuck out. Like, you're gonna get traded, bro. It's gonna happen before 4 p.m. next Wednesday. Like, calm the fuck down. And I want to talk, and I'm going to leave that at that because I don't want to. I'm already in a bad mood today, but it's fine. And I'm only saying that because I like to be transparent with you guys. We talked about the Jaguars needing playmakers for Trevor Lawrence. One thing I was thinking about the other night, and obviously the Eagles might need to give up a little bit more compensation for this guy, but Zach Ertz, Jaguars, and maybe a 4th round pick for and this is wishful thinking, honestly, Patrick, but just bear with me, okay? Miles Jack. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a great get for the Eagles. That would be a great get. I don't know if the Jaguars are necessarily interested in Zach Ertz. I think they're kind of gearing towards players going into their prime. From everything I've read from Jacksonville, they're looking for guys in their 20s. But we'll say, I mean, that's a good fit for them. I mean, Trevor Lawrence definitely needs a weapon, so Zach Ertz definitely has a lot to offer. So yeah, I mean, who it's 99% going to be Trevor Lawrence. So I mean, a new quarterback coming in there, why not get a protection on the line? I mean, Zach Ertz is an adequate blocker. He can definitely go out there and be a decent receiver for him still, I think. So I think Jaguars might be a good option. I think Jaguars are more of an option for the Eagles if they're willing to take a player back, in my opinion. If
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. So Miles Jack, I don't know if Miles Jack's necessarily an option, but I think the Eagles can definitely get a decent offensive lineman out of him. I mean, the Jaguars definitely do have their former All-Pro guard Andrew Norwell that they've been trying to restructure his contract and take a pay cut, but they've been struggling to do so. I mean, that would be a good get to be able to shore up your offensive line with that. Eagles could definitely take that on, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I think that's definitely a good option for them to look into. Zach Ertz, I mean, going back to the other point, I mean, it's a two-way street when you sign a contract. You've committed to a team. You've committed to not only the dollar amount that he wants to get, I'm sure, you committed to the team. And, like when you're at an impasse and when you're ready for a trade, you have to be patient. You can't just get whatever the fuck you want at this point,
Right. No, exactly. Football King says nobody wants him at this point. Well, I don't know if that's true. I mean, I know that the Seattle Seahawks showed interest and other teams showed interest as well. Chicago Bears showed interest and another interesting team that I just thought of just because they did release Kyle Rudolph is obviously the Minnesota Vikings.
The Vikings, yep.
King Miro says, I won't be surprised if Zach goes to the Colts. I don't get it. Like, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but like if the Colts are interested, man, they would have traded for him already. I don't think the Colts are interested. They have Moali Cox. I think I'd rather see them re-sign Trey Burton before they do Zach Ertz. One, he's younger. Trey Burton is a little bit more like Dallas Goedert than Zach Ertz. Trey Burton is a little bit more athletic. We saw that in 2017, to be completely honest, and that was one of Zach Ertz's best years. But then again,
yeah, I agree with you. I actually kind of I'm still on the belief with King Miro too. I think the Colts might be a good option for them. I mean, they do have ties with Frank over there, so I mean, I think that's an option. I just don't think that they're willing to offer the third or fourth that the Eagles are wanting, and I think that's frankly the same thing with all the other teams. There was like you just put it up, Cardinals. Actually, King Miro, I was actually going to talk about them too. There was reports and local radio here that Zach Ertz might be an option that they're looking into, but the Cardinals don't. Cardinals are okay not getting him, but they would love to have him, but they're kind of in a wait and see stance. Yeah, they're like if the Eagles want to take our 5th round pick, we'll wait, but if not, they don't care, So I think that's where most teams are at this point.
You can see the comments now.
Oh no, I saw it because you put it up on this little show.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I can see the ones that you choose, but I can't see like a list of it,
Oh, yeah. I see. That's because StreamYard gives me all the power. Here's the thing, and I want to go back to what you said the other day about the Cardinals, about them being all in. You know what I mean? Look, if the Cardinals, here's the thing. Right now, the Eagles are valued at having the 6th pick in the 4th round, and that's next year too. Right, because we can only go based off of what we have now, and if the Cardinals believe that they have a shot, just think about it. Just think about it that way. Is like, why wouldn't you? And the Cardinals are pretty much thinking that they're going to go to the playoffs. Why wouldn't you trade a 4th round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles for Zach Ertz? If that's the thing. Zach Ertz can still play. Like if you can make that trade happen as the Cardinals, like that is like the Eagles signing LeGarrette Blount in 2017. It really is. Except for you might get a few more years out of Zach Ertz. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be a perfect fit for them.
I completely agree with you. And then here's a one thing that I'll tell you about the Cardinals and the reason why they're not trading their 4th. And then this is going to blow your mind away. They don't have a 4th round pick.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing about the Cardinals. They don't want to trade their 3rd round pick because that's too high for them. They don't have a 4th round pick. So that I think that's where their stance is. They're like, you know what? I don't feel like trading our 3rd round pick for Zach Ertz, but if the Eagles are willing to take the 5th pick, then we would love to do that. But until Eagles are okay with that, we're just going to sit on it, I think. I think that's their stance on it just because they don't have a 4th round pick.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting because then I wonder if there is trade talks, and clearly this is just speculative now, guys, that we're getting into, and this is just trade shit, but like maybe it has gone to the point where like, okay, the Eagles are willing, the Eagles have asked for a 3rd from the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are going to want an additional pick in order to get to the 3rd, like maybe a 5th or a 6th or something like that on top of Zach Ertz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if they're willing to add on a pick like that, I'm sure I'm sure the Cardinals would be more willing to. And then if the Eagles are another option would be, I mean, this is all just coming from local radio that I've heard. I mean, if another option would be if the Eagles are willing to take a 5th rounder and then settle for like a 3rd rounder in the next year. I mean, they can always go that route too. So, I mean, there's different options. With the Cardinals, you have to be a little bit more creative just because they don't have a whole lot of picks. I think it's a repercussion of them trading, for D-Hop and all that stuff, which I'm sure they love to do all over again. I think the Cardinals are a great fit. I think the Colts are a good fit. Jaguars that you mentioned is a good fit. Packers are a good fit. I can go on. Vikings are a good fit. Zach Ertz can go and help any team out there. But at the same time, I totally agree with you. Zach Ertz needs to be patient. This thing that he's putting out there, that he's growing impatient, it's only hurting his trade value. And I'm sure the Eagles front office, that's not what they want to see.
Yeah, I don't think they care at this point. But I honestly don't want him to go to the Colts. I want to see Carson Wentz flourish without Zach Ertz. And and he deserves it. And
I hope he comes to Arizona. I think that'll be fun to watch him, playing with Kyler.
I'd like to see him go play with like A-Rod. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be fun too. Imagine Zach Ertz. Yeah, like you said, imagine seeing Zach Ertz go to Minnesota Vikings. I mean, him lining up next to Thielen and Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. But hey, guys, I appreciate you guys joining in today. We are going to wrap it up a little bit early today, but you guys, thank you so much. Have a happy Sunday. Please stay safe and stay healthy. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles, live with you with Patrick J. And we will be back with you tomorrow. We will be doing the NFC West, Patrick's beloved Cardinals. We will be talking about the Rams. We will be talking about the Seahawks, who are in quite a bit of trouble if Russell Wilson gets traded. And then we'll be talking about who's the other team. Why am I always forgetting the 4th team?
The Niners.
The Niners, right. And they might be in a bit of trouble too if they lose Trent Williams. And we'll see if the Pats get a hold of Jimmy Garoppolo, but we'll just have to see. But you guys, again, thank you so much for joining. Big Play Slay King, Miro Football King. It was good to see you. It's been a while, my man. And the rest of you.
Dak is king, don't forget.
Dak is king. Yeah, no, I didn't forget. I'm just giving him some shit because he's a Cowboys fan. We're going to have to try and convert him, guys. But anyway, one love. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and have a beautiful evening. Go Birds, baby.